Yo, what's going on, guys? And today we're doing a aggregate mock draft. Mike Scotto did this one of HoopsHype, and it's a combination of like ESPN, Bleacher Report, NBA draft.Net, Yahoo, CBS Sports, SB Nation, US Today's for the win. And they also get like the opinions from NBA executives, and they compile like, a aggregate mock draft. So links in the description if you guys want to go into it yourselves. But here it is, and let's get right into it today. And we're going to start off right here with our man Ron Holland is the number one prospect. This is a wide open NBA draft, so do not be surprised if at some point somebody else is the projected number one. There's Olivier Sarr's brother, who's been somebody that a lot of people have been a fan of. Alex Sarr, who's a guy who could be, I think he had 12 blocks in 2 games, okay? We're making another video about the G League, so go check that one out. So right now they have Ron Holland. They said best rank is 1, worst rank is 8, and he's with the G League Ignite, 6'8". He's like this, guard 1 through 4. He's a guy who can be a wing or a forward, and he's an athletic freak, a 3-level scorer. People are saying that somebody says he's Marvin Williams with a better handle. I don't know if I really like that as the best comparison. Again, like there isn't like projected superstars, like generational talents, but like really, really high level role players is kind of what we're seeing. Or high level, starters. And then Matthias, I might butcher some of these names because I haven't, heard their names multiple times, so I don't know the correct pronunciation. So if any names I don't say correctly or anything, tell me down below. Matthias is the second guy. Supposedly he wasn't that great at Buzelis, wasn't that great at the draft this year, or not the draft, the showcase this year, but for the G League, and he's been kind of like, he's a 6'11". I kind of look at him either, I don't know if he's more of like a Franz Wagner-esque guy, or if he's going to be more of a kind of, people are saying that, I don't know what he is. I don't know if he's a wing or if he's like trying to be a forward. I'm very confused with his play style, and I'm scared that him being a tweener might screw him over. And his body needs to get ready. Justin Edwards is physically the most impressive guy on this list. I've seen him ranked at number 1 by a lot of people. He's like the most well-rounded, and he's kind of like the Anthony Edwards of this draft class, where like he's kind of, someone's calling him Rodney Hood, and that's the problem with this draft class. Like, people aren't comparing these guys to like the greatest players ever. Like over here, people, I don't even think they gave Matas a comparison, but Justin Edwards, Rodney Hood, I think he's a bit bigger than Rodney Hood. But this is, he's a guy that I think coming out, he's kind of like, he's similar, a thinner Rudy Gay I was going to compare him to, but I really like his game. Zachariah, he's a guy from, I believe he's the French, right? He's the French kid. He's a guy who's kind of blown up the radar over the last few months. He's got like incredible size, 6'8". He's really a name to keep an eye out for because he's really been growing. Isaiah Collier, this isn't really a guard heavy draft. There isn't as many guards as you guys would think. And he's probably the best one as of right now in the preseason. I mean, his stock could depend because there's, I've seen DJ Wagner go as low as 24. Like, the Athletic aren't high on DJ Wagner. So Isaiah Collier is supposedly in front of him, good defender. DJ Wagner, he's been a guy that like, he's the son of a former NBA player, which is good, but a lot of people, it seems like he kind of has like, you remember Cole Anthony coming out? It's his opinion. People's opinion on DJ Wagner is very similar to what people's opinion on Cole Anthony was coming out of college, the way they're looking at him. Tyrese Proctor, I don't think he has anything special. Like, he's a jack of all trades, but a master of none. And I think that's the problem. Like, look at this, 11 points, 4.5 assists, shoots, everything's super efficient. These were his last 10 games, but I don't think he'll ever be a guy who jumps out in stats, stuffs the stat sheet, in my opinion. Stephen Castle, he's a 6'6" guard. He's kind of be like in the, a more athletic Jordan Hawkins. He's just another version of those UConn guards that they like very much. Donovan Clingan, he's been compared kind of to like, I kind of see him, some people have compared him to like a Walker Kessler-esque guy, and I think it's all gonna depend. I mean, he's 7'2" with 7'7" wingspan. He's got a good game, and it depends if like how he does this year. And this is a weird draft because Jacoby Walter was a guy that I've seen not even rated, okay? Some people have him in here. And we don't even know much about him, but he's going to be the guy who's carrying the torch after Keontae George leaves Baylor. Kyle Filipowski, I've seen people compare him as a, right here they're saying Kelly Olynyk. I've seen a bigger Naz Reid is another version, and I like him. But again, it's just that this isn't the strongest draft. Like, I've also seen Aaron Bradshaw. Look, they've had him number 1. Okay, worst ranked 32. This is a guy who's people are like treating like Derek Lively over here with Aaron Bradshaw, who is like somebody that people were saying literally is a lob threat in the pick and roll, rim runner, kind of how people were describing Derek Lively, but he's way better, okay? Way better in my opinion, and I just don't know if he can really shoot it that well. Cody Williams is a wing from Colorado. He's the younger brother of J-Dub from OKC Thunder, Jalen Williams. He's supposedly an absolute animal, but maybe not as good as a ball handler as J-Dub, but still a good player who's got skills. Bobby Klitman, who plays for the Can-Tapins, is going to really be a good player. He's supposedly almost 6'10" with a 7-foot wingspan, no shoes on, and I've heard good things from, I got a couple coaches I know in the NBL, and they've said really good things about him. Omaha Bilal, tell me how to say that one below. He's kind of like the thick, kind of like the Jarris Walker of this draft class, 6'8", forward, power forward, who's a small ball 5, just freaking athletic freak. Terrier Darlin, he with the Ignite, he's one of those guys who can kind of be like the Marjon Beauchamp of this draft class, where he's like this athletic guy whose his swing skill is the shooting, but if he gets it, he looks like a perfect 3-and-D guy in the modern NBA. But some people say he's kind of a Chris Dunn. I personally think he's more of a shooting guard, okay, in terms of shooting guard with some point guard skills, like where he's a secondary playmaker, but they're saying he's like a Chris Dunn. That's just my opinion. Aizen Almansa, I know he's like the Spaniard guy who's on the G League Ignite. I'm intrigued with him because some people say he's a big. I see him as a forward. He's got some nice touch, but he's the type of guy, he's either going to be like Bruno Caboclo, or I think he can be like kind of like a Kyle Kuzma-esque guy, because I don't think his body's going to get too big. Alex Sarr, I've seen people say he could be the number 1 pick, and then I've seen some people not really like him, and he's literally better than his brother. He's a shot blocker. I personally think he's a better option than Bradshaw, and he can shoot threes, 12 blocks over 2 games, man. It's ridiculous. Trey Alexander, he would have been a 2nd-round pick in this year's draft, comes back and could be a lottery pick in this upcoming draft. Like last year, he was a 2nd-round pick in 2023. In 2024, he could be a freaking lottery pick. Then there's Bronny James. We don't know if he's even going to be in this draft, but LeBron can be a free agent and then decide to go to the team that drafts his son. Riley Cool, I've heard this is a guy that people like, 6'5". He's got like good size, for what people look for in those 3-and-D wings. Adem Bona, another guy who would have been a 2nd-round pick in this year's draft. I met him, genuine dude, really nice guy, and he's a shot blocker. Trevon Brazil, he's a guy who's going to take that Ricky Council role, all right, and you probably, dominate as the scorer. And I know Ricky Council was a shooting guard. Brazil's more of a shot blocking big man who can stretch the floor, and they need someone to score. And I think Brazil's going to take the touches, and that's what I meant, like Ricky Council role in terms of like being the potentially one of the leading scorers for the Razorbacks. Omarka Jackson from KU, love this guy. He's going to be a defensive dog. And I've heard the Eric Gordon comparison from a lot of people. Baba Miller, another guy who would have been a 2nd-round pick, 3-point shooter. I mean, I don't like, he had a bad year, but like Dylan Mitchell, another guy. There's a lot of guys who would have been 2nd-round picks last year, but just by being in this draft, they're going to be 1st-round picks. Kalel Ware, that's how weak of a draft class it is. He's kind of like a, Willie Cauley-Stein, they've been saying. Trenton Flowers is a guy I haven't really watched too much, but they're saying he's kind of like a Josh Giddey, LaMelo Ball, playing out in the NBL and the Rising Star. Mark Mitchell is another guy who would have been a 2nd-round pick, but people are saying now he can be this kind of, I see him as like a Jared Vanderbilt if he can figure it out defensively. AJ Johnson, he's over there with the ELOR Hawks in the NBL. I like him, but we're still seeing JJ Starling, Ade Mara. He's the Spaniard who went over. Vlad Divac is what he's been compared to. Kwame Evans is the guy from Baltimore who's, I believe, going to Oregon, yes. And then you got yourself Mackenzie Mgbako, who went to Indiana instead of KU. You got Terrence Arsenault, who's over there with Houston. You got Ogana Onyenso, who's with Kentucky. Kylan Boswell, You got Elliot Cadeau, Terrence Shannon, who crazy, we would have been a second round pick last year. This, in the past draft, still a second round pick they're saying here, but they're saying it could be a lottery. Naquan Tomlin, Ryan Dunn, Judah Mintz, Robert Dillingham, this guy could have been a first rounder. Freddie DeLeon, like back in the day. Tijane Salone. Dude, there's so many French players. Tyler Burton, who I really like he was with the Richmond Spiders, but now he's going to be with Villanova. Juan Yunez is, he was a guy who was fun. Reese Beekman, he was really nice to talk. Coleman Hawkins, he's going to be good. Okay. This guy Burke, I know who I've heard of him. He's supposedly a draft and stash candidate. Xavier Booker, he was ranked a lot higher. Ryan Kalkbrenner would have gone in the same spot. Javon Porter, Usman. Oh, dude, Javon Porter is the youngest brother of the MPJ and Jonte. Usman Day, I know about him. TJ Bamba, is TJ Bamba related to Mo? I'm just kidding. Henry Visar, Tristan Da Silva, Matthew Morrell, Antonio Reeves, Zach Edey. I'm surprised that they don't have Nick Timberlake, who's on the Kansas Jayhawks. If he shoots really well, he's a guy who could shoot himself into the NBA. I'm serious. But that's going to be it for me. Hope you guys did enjoy. Peace out.